All right, we should be live. Welcome back, Giants fans. You got me, Mike. We got Chris, the Entertainah. And as I told you guys last week, we would be very happy if the Giants somehow won that game on Sunday versus the Packers. And look what happened. The Giants won versus the Packers. We have a happy Mike, happy Chris. What's going on, buddy? How you feeling right now?
How do I feel? One, I got a new mic, so hopefully you guys hear my voice better. Haven't made a new video with it. I'm excited about that. But no, I mean, how I feel as a Giants fan, Mike, I have not felt this way since 2016. The
Long
Giants are
time.
up to their best start since 2010. We're 4-1. And you can't say, for all the naysayers, that they can't say we haven't beaten anybody respectable. We beat the number one seed in the AFC last year. We beat the number one seed in the NFC last year. I understand they're not quite the same teams, but they're still good football teams. They're still teams that are thought to be playoff caliber football teams. And when you look at the method in which they've been able to do it in those two games in particular, they came back, something that they have not done over the last 3 years. They were down by 10 points in both of those games at the half, and the halftime adjustments on both sides of the ball, specifically in this game, was incredible. They possessed the ball for over 15 minutes on their first two drives in the second half.
Hmm.
And you look what the defense did with Wink. I mean, we held Aaron Rodgers scoreless. So in the second half, after he completely shredded us in the first. So I think a lot of it goes to the coaching. Obviously, you got to give a lot of the players credit as well, which I'm sure we'll talk about today. But just a great start. And it's funny how much different you feel as a fan because I look at the schedule, Mike, and right now, I mean, I can't predict what's going to happen, but I think we're legitimately a playoff team right now, or at
Hmm.
least a playoff contender.
Yeah, I remember I signed off last week and I said if the Giants somehow win this game, I'm expecting the playoffs. And like you look at the rest of the NFC, it's possible. I mean, the Giants are going to be in there fighting for cuz I don't know, do you think they have a shot at the division? I don't know how legit you think Philly is, but what do you think about that?
I mean, I still think that's probably far fetched. I mean, I don't think the Eagles are quite as good as their record may indicate. They
Yeah.
are 5-0. They have the best record of football, only undefeated team left, but they haven't really played anybody great yet. They played the
Mhm.
Vikings, who are solid, but I will really truly believe in them when I see them go up against a team like San Francisco, Kansas City.
Yeah.
But they're definitely a good team, very good team. And with the schedule that they play, it's going to be very hard for the New York Giants to top them. They had an easier schedule than the Giants going into the year, based off the
Yeah.
strength of schedule going into the year, at least off a projection. So it's going to be tough to catch them. But listen, at the end of the day, if we win 10 games, I'm going to be ecstatic. It's not about winning the division this year for me. Of course, I want to win the division, but if we can win 10 games and make the playoffs, and you never know. That's the beauty of getting in. You never know. Not saying at all that I think we're going to do anything this year in terms of Super Bowl, but you don't know. I mean, the NFC is not that strong of a conference. So
Mhm.
you get hot, you catch a couple of breaks, you never know. Give yourself an opportunity like the Cincinnati Bengals did last year.
I was just gonna say, I think a year ago at this point, I don't think Bengals fans thought the Super Bowl was realistic at all. At least most Bengals fans. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm not expecting to win the division, but I do think there's a chance that they get one of these three wild card spots. I mean, they're gonna have to fight with teams like the Vikings, probably the Saints, maybe one of those NFC West teams, probably the Rams if they get their crap together, maybe Dallas. But like assuming one or two of those teams kind of falls off, which I mean the Rams are in trouble right now, it looks like, and we'll see about the Saints how real they are. But the Giants at least have a chance. They can definitely get themselves that last wild card spot. I mean, is there a chance they win the wild card round if some injuries happen or something goes our way? Of course. I mean, I think to expect to go all the way to the Super Bowl right now, it's a lot, and we're gonna have to pump our brakes a bit. But the Giants at least have put themselves in a position where, hey, they're 4-1. They're technically in third place in their division, but hey, 4-1 is amazing. Like I'll sign up for that any day. I don't care. Even if we were like Super Bowl favorites coming into the year, starting out 4-1 is great for anybody, especially a team like this that the Giants, I think by some people's standards, might have been a 4-win team coming into the year. So to start out 4-1, they already matched their win total from last year. It's been such an unbelievable start. It's been fun. But I'm just enjoying the ride so far. I don't know when it's going to stop or how long it's going to go, but here we are. It's been a good time.
Yeah, and the most encouraging thing about it for me, outside of the division, because some of our divisional games are certainly challenging. We saw how good Dallas was the first time we played them. We still have the Eagles twice. They look really good. But outside of the division, our out of division schedule, you could certainly argue after this week, we've already played the hardest part of it.
Yeah.
When you look at the Colts and the Vikings, they're not quite as good. Well, the Vikings are 4-1, but I don't know. For me, they don't seem like a true 4-1 team, at least from what I've seen. I think they're beatable. Let's put it that way.
Oh yeah.
I think we've played some of the tougher teams on our schedule, especially after this week when we play Baltimore. And the more encouraging thing is my expectations, at least, and I think you agree with me going into the year, I thought we were going to be a significantly better football team in the second half with all the young pieces and getting acclimated to both, the different schemes. And when you factor in all the injuries this team has had, you have to figure we're going to be healthier at some point in the season. You have to figure we're going to get Wan'Dale Robinson back at some point. We're going to get
Right.
Kadarius Toney back at some point. You're going to get Leonard Williams back, right? So yeah, there's a lot of encouraging things, and why, I completely understand why fans right now are thinking 10 wins, even 11 wins
Yeah.
when you look at our schedule.
Yeah, it's not completely crazy. I mean, it looked harder like a few weeks ago, but as the NFL season goes on, you see these games as more winnable. I think Jacksonville looked scarier a couple weeks ago. Detroit looked scarier a couple weeks ago. But now you look at those and you're like, hey, we can win those games. Ain't no doubt about it. I mean, Jacksonville just lost to the freaking Texans. Anything could happen. Of course,
The
Baltimore.
Lions got shut out last week.
Exactly. They got shut out. And it's crazy. But, Baltimore, they're a tough team. But look, the Giants are home. Anything can happen. But Jacksonville's winnable. Seattle, they're a bit tougher than I expected, but winnable. Houston, winnable. Detroit, winnable. And then we get ourselves to Thanksgiving. So, I mean, I expect the Giants to be over 500 in that 5-game stretch. I don't have like an exact record prediction, but Baltimore, Jacksonville, Seattle, Houston, Detroit, you can't take 3 of those games. I mean, I
So
think
we
they
take
can.
3. I think that's reasonable to expect 3.
Mhm.
Going in, I expect us to win 1 out of our next 3, being cautious. 1 out of our next 3 between Baltimore and the 2 road games. And then I think we're going to win both home games. Those are my expectations going in.
Mhm.
Detroit's 1-4. I don't care how good their offenses look. The way we've played, we're 4-1. We're going to be home for that game. I think it's very fair as a fan to expect to win that. And you should absolutely expect to win Houston. So I
Yeah.
think 3-2 over the next 5 are reasonable expectations. And if they're able to do that, you're looking at 7-3 going into the last 7 games. And 2 of those games are against Washington, a
Yeah.
team that doesn't look very good.
To put it
So,
nicely. Yep.
we're setting ourselves up nicely if we could take care of business over these next 5 games.
Yeah, and they get Houston and Detroit coming out of a bye, both home games. So I mean, it's setting up perfectly. I think I really believe before the year started, the Giants' first half schedule was so favorable because of all the home games. And of
Yeah.
course, the Giants having a new coaching staff. Why, like, of course, you would love to have as many home games as possible, but the Giants haven't had a legit road game since week 1. I mean, I don't really count last week. It was kind of a neutral field, but the Giants don't play another road game until 2 weeks from now, which is Jacksonville. So week 1 to week 7 is a long time of not playing a real road game. So that definitely favored the Giants. They're taking advantage of it. But all right, let's hop off the schedule stuff real quickly and let's shout out some people in the chat because, I see you guys in the chat. I'm not good at this, but I'm going to say what's up to people. Rosario, Matthew, Joseph,
Yeah,
Lake,
I got him. Nona, Ryan,
Nona.
Matthew. Thank you, Tucker Daniels. Thank you to everybody.
Yes, sir.
We do these bi-weekly. We appreciate everybody that tunes in, supports the show. Been working with Mike now for, what is this, our 3rd year in season or 2nd year? I don't even know.
Third year.
3rd year in season.
Yeah.
So really looking forward to continuing this with Mike this year. And always love having great Giants discussion. Thank you guys for all the support.
It's been our most fun year so far. Not to disrespect the other years, but this has been a much more fun experience. All right, so let's talk about the talk of the town here. Our quarterback, Daniel Jones, went 21 of 27, 217, and I think may have played his best game as a Giant. I don't think it's far-fetched based on the situation. The touchdown tying drive without Saquon Barkley on the field, a bloody right hand, making it even worse. He was hampered with the ankle injury, and the guy with Marcus Johnson and Richie James and Darius Slayton, who actually played very well, somehow led a touchdown drive against the Packers, technically on the road. And this was one of those games where I came away very encouraged with Daniel Jones. Do I want to give him a 5-year extension right away? No, let's let the year play out first. But
Yeah.
I think Daniel has a real chance if he continues to play like this to at least get next year, hopefully with healthier weapons, a better team around him. But I don't want to make any premature statements about giving him a big ass extension. But I just think right now, at least, if he continues to play like he has the past 3 weeks, especially last week, it's trending in the right direction for him.
Yeah, I don't think it's premature to at least give an opinion that you think it's at least trending, like I said yesterday, that he's going to be the quarterback of 2023.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we win 10 games, that's probably going to be the case.
Yeah.
And I think right now, 9 or 10 wins is a very reasonable thought with what this team is going to do when you look at the remaining schedule. So I definitely think if you ask me today, Mike, Chris, you have, and I am completely open to changing my opinion. Things could change drastically. But if you said, Chris, what's more likely? We're going to draft the quarterback in 2023 or Jones is going to be back on a short-term deal. I would tell you Jones is going to be back on a short-term deal. Like you just said, I don't expect a multi-5-year extension, nothing like that. I think the Giants are going to want him to continue to prove himself and grow as they add more pieces around him. Obviously, I think the focal point, if we don't take a quarterback next year, is going to be to get pieces to help that quarterback. Because I think everybody in this chat, and you can agree, we certainly need help at the wide receiver position. And I think that'll be a big focal point in the offseason. But yeah, I'm in complete agreement with you. I think you can make an argument, Mike. Jones has played maybe his two best games as a pro in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
We talked about the job he did in Dallas. I know they didn't score a lot of points, but 25 pressures for him to even keep the team in that game with the lack of weaponry. I thought he played great in that game. I thought he played very well in the next game. I understand he didn't throw for a lot of yards, but you had the bad drop by Slayton, and they didn't help him out a whole lot. And he ran for 2 touchdowns, played within the game plan. And then this week, yeah, people are just going to look at the stats. They're going to say he didn't throw touchdowns. But like you said, one, he drove the team down the field without his first, second, third, or fourth best options in the passing game, or at least what we thought were going to be his top 4 passing options going into the year. And no Saquon Barkley. Went 92 yards down the field on that drive against a very good defense. And the team was 6 of 10. They were really 6 of 11, but I don't count the last one because we intentionally took a safety. We're 6 and 10 on third down this past week. Going into that game, the Green Bay Packers had the number 1 third down defense in all football, only surrendering a first down 23% of the time. Daniel Jones picked up 2 of those with his legs, and a lot of those were tight window throws. The throw to Darius Slayton on like a 3rd and 9 near the goal line. They had a 3rd and 13 to Richie James, which was a really good throw. So Daniel Jones played exceptional. I don't care if he didn't throw a touchdown pass. That's exactly what you want in your quarterback. So he did a tremendous job, not to mention he was playing hurt. He was not 100% coming off the ankle sprain. So far, he's definitely showing a lot of growth. And I think the obviously you got to give credit to Dable and Kafka for putting him in a better situation to succeed. And Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley is certainly helping him, right? Because this is really the first time he's had a true Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, do you think Jones's biggest improvement is the coaching staff? Do you think Jones himself improved as a player? Is it getting a healthy Saquon Barkley? What do you think is the biggest contributor to why Daniel Jones has taken a step here in 2022?
I think it's a combination of everything. It's really hard to say. I think you have to give a lot of credit to Saquon. I really do. And I'm not trying to take anything away from Kafka and Dable because they certainly are doing a much better job than Jason Garrett ever did. You go back to the second game, I said it, and I think you said it as well. We definitely both agreed on it. Everybody was complaining that Jones was missing reads, and I said that's a good thing. That means guys are getting open, and that goes to the play calling, right? And it was the same thing this week. They had a lot of crossing patterns. They found ways to get Darius Slayton open. They did a very good job in terms of the play calling, so that's certainly helping. And he's had a lot of easy touchdowns. Not that he's had a lot of touchdowns, but the ones he has had have been much easier than he ever had under Jason Garrett in terms of throwing the football. You think back to I think it was the Bellinger 30-yard touchdown run. Even the Barkley catch, when he was out in space for 40 yards, which was a huge play on that game-winning drive.
Wide open.
So a lot of that definitely goes to the play calling, but I think I'm going to give a little bit more credit to Barkley because I think the attention that he commands is helping Daniel Jones in a big way. People putting 7-8 in the box. And Mike, I just get goosebumps thinking about what this offense can potentially be if we could get a number 1 wide receiver. Because with the threat of Jones's legs, with the threat of Barkley, and you get a guy on the outside, with these play callers, this could be a much better offense than some people may realize, especially if this offensive line develops.
Yeah, I think in the second quarter especially, we saw a lot of those quick play actions to Saquon Barkley, and Jones was having time to throw. I think you're right. They were going all out to stop Saquon, which was kind of the MO for the Packers coming into this game is don't let 26 beat us once again, which is kind of like what the Panthers did in week 2. But Daniel Jones did a great job of going through his progressions this week. That was one thing I saw that was really noticeable. Darius Slayton, once again, shout out to him. I don't think he had any drops in this game, thank God. I think he caught all but one of his targets, and he looked really good. I mean, there was the one throw Jones threw behind him, but I think outside of that one single play, Jones had an A+ type of game. He was tremendous. You guys know I don't give him too much credit. You know me. So for me to go out there and say the guy played an A+ game, he played an A+ game. So once again, if Jones can continue to do that, I know it's pretty high bar. That's a great game beating a really good Packers team. I think we'll be having those discussions about, hey, this guy might be back here next year, whether it's on the franchise tag, a 1-year prove it deal, a 2-year deal, something like that. But I mean, we'll find out. The Giants keep winning games. They're going to, eventually get themselves out of that draft talk, which I'm tired of talking about in October. So that's the good news. But as long as they keep winning games here and Daniel keeps improving, I mean, I don't see why not. But over to Kelvin here. Thank you, Kelvin. Daniel loves running head first, though. I mean, it's true. We do see too many Daniel Jones head first. We saw it with Tyrod Taylor, too, in fairness, which was, got him a concussion and knocked out of this week. But yeah, Jones is a little questionable when it comes to sliding. I can agree with that.
Yeah, listen, I think we all admire Daniel Jones when he does that, right? He puts his body on the line, and in the moment, I get pumped up, I get jacked up. But yeah, I want Jones to get better in that area. And he has. I will say, you can notice he has gotten better in terms of sliding, but he's still taking some shots that you don't necessarily want your quarterback to take. So that's not even really a knock on Jones. I admire him for his competitiveness, but I would really like him to avoid some of those hits. You think about the goal line, near the goal line where he took the hit on the 5-yard run. Eventually, we've seen what's going to happen to Jones if that continues. So he's got to get down, he's got to slide, and hopefully they continue to instill that into his head.
Well, remember last year against Dallas, or it was last year? Yeah, against Dallas, he got the concussion. He was like woozy, like running off the field. You can't have those situations. I mean, even like Jalen Hurts making another Eagles connection, he took some bad hits against the Cardinals on Sunday. Like those, guys like that. I know having a rushing quarterback, a mobile quarterback is such a great weapon to have, but these guys got to get themselves out of harm's way. I mean, not every quarterback's going to get the Tom Brady roughing the passer call if you saw that on Sunday. So, guys like Jones, even Jalen Hurts, I mean, they have to find a way to just not put themselves in harm's way as much. I get it. If the game's on the line, 4th down play, you have to get to the marker, or like you have to score a touchdown on that particular play. I get that. But in a lot of situations, it's pretty avoidable, and you would hope that these quarterbacks would protect their body. And a guy like Jones, who has missed games in the past, has to be a bit extra careful. So I think we know that.
We need him. Listen, he can't
absolutely
go down, otherwise we're in big trouble. So he's got to stay on his feet, and he's got to stay healthy.
Yeah. Pandemonium. I was thinking that Michael K call. He was like pandemonium in the Bronx. I forget what call it was. But anyway, Yankees tonight. Good luck to them. Sorry about your Mets, by the way. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Chris, DJ play, no doubt, has been upgraded. But let's not forget he beat Philly last year with a broken neck. DJ's a giant through and through. Yeah, I mean, how could you not respect him? I get it. There's been some questions about his ability as a quarterback, but Daniel Jones, the person, Daniel Jones, the athlete, and Daniel Jones' heart, I mean, you cannot question those things 100%.
Listen, I see King G's teasing saying Chris is far from a DJ apologist. I think I've been very outspoken supporting Daniel Jones. I want him to succeed more than anybody. Trust me. I just try to be as objective and as fair as I can when I try to analyze him as a quarterback. But I want him to prove everybody wrong. I want him to be the franchise quarterback. And like you just said, Mike, he's got the heart of a lion, and I respect the hell out of him for it. And yeah, I even said it. I even made a tweet after the game this week that, everybody talks about wins and losses because it's funny, Mike, because it's just the way that people work when they try to make arguments for and against players that they like. One common knock against Daniel Jones was his record. Right. People would say, oh, horrible record, horrible record, horrible record. So that was like a big knock. Then when he starts winning games, oh, they're winning in spite of Daniel Jones. No, you can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways. If you're going to fully blame the losses on Jones and you're going to look at the win-loss record, when they win, you got to give them credit. So I even made a point of that. Daniel Jones' last 8 starts in the pros now, he's 6-2. And 3 of those wins have come against Jalen Hurts, Carr, and Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
So say what you want. When you're going to knock him for his win-loss record, when they're losing, you got to give them credit when they're winning. So we all realize that quarterback is the most important position, and it contributes. That's all I hear. It contributes the most to victories. Well, if that's the case, you got to start giving Jones a lot of credit because they're 6-2 in his last 8 starts, and they're 4-1 in his last 5.
Yeah. Hey, you know me, I'm on that side of like quarterback play really influences wins and losses. And we're seeing it. Daniel Jones is playing better football. And in result, the Giants are winning more football games. Now, of course, coaching comes into that. The defense playing much better. Saquon being healthy. But as long as Daniel Jones plays a good brand of football, the Giants will win more games, right? Plain and simple. When Jones is playing better, the Giants are better as a team. That's usually how it goes. So I know some people like to kind of I guess move the goalpost is what you would call it, and just try to make arguments for and against the record. But, if you believe in quarterback record, that's fine. I'm with you. If you're against it, that's fine. But don't change your narrative.
You got to be consistent.
Exactly.
If you're going to judge quarterbacks off their record, you got to judge them off their record. When they start winning, you got to give them credit.
Yeah. I gotta give Elena a shout out. She already texted me saying, "Why don't you put up my chat?" So, hi guys, let's go New York sports. She's a Jets fan, so yeah, her team's 3-2, doing all
Hey,
right here.
congratulations to her. I have several friends that are Jets fans, and I can't believe, Mike, that the New York Giants and New York Jets have a combined record of 7-3 after,
Yeah,
5 weeks. It's insane to me. Absolutely
yeah.
insane. Both.
No, it's exciting. I mean, I think the Jets are pretty exciting, at least offensively, with Zach and the new weapons they got there. So they're a fun team to watch. I know they beat like a third string quarterback on Sunday, but still, I mean, it's fun for New York sports right now. Bob, thank you, guys. Imagine how scary the Wildcat will be with Saquon, KT, and Robinson in the backfield. Wow. I mean, how do you feel about the Wildcat? Because I'm enjoying it. They're not doing it too much to the point where it's annoying, but they're doing it enough where it's like throwing off the defense and it's actually working effectively. So I say you might as well stick with it.
Yeah, I'll say this about it. I completely agree. They probably only used it maybe 5 or 6 times this past game, and it was working very well. The only problem I have with it is they got called for 2 penalties when they used it. I think because they weren't set properly. But even on those penalties, it had nothing to do with what the success of the play would have been. It was like they weren't set up properly, and it looked as if they were going to score a touchdown. I think on one of them with Saquon Barkley
Mhm.
get down to the half-yard line on like a 4-yard gain. So yeah, the Wildcat's working, and that Wildcat, like you said, if they use it sparingly, they don't overuse it, should only get better when they get guys like Kadarius Toney and Wan'Dale Robinson back, because you think about the threat of a guy like Wan'Dale Robinson or Toney coming across with the option for him to pitch it forward to him. You got Breida to your left, and you got Saquon Barkley. So I don't think that's going away. I think that's something that they're going to continue to use throughout the year.
Yeah, I mean, you might as well, right? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. You might as well go with that
Yeah.
old outage. From the Dayman, thank you. Aaron Rodgers said today on the Pat McAfee show that Dexter Lawrence is one of the best D tackles in the league. Sexy Dexy is getting some more recognition. I agree with this because I listened to a podcast. It's called Talking Ball. Mike Renner, PFF guy, and he went out to say that he believes that Dexter Lawrence right now is the best nose tackle in the NFL, overtaking Vita Vea of the Buccaneers. And I'm thinking about it. I'm like, holy crap, is that true? Like, I'm thinking of nose tackles and all that. I'm like, he might be right. Like, Dexter Lawrence is playing at an insane level. He had the game versus the Bears, the 2 sacks, the 7 pressures, whatever it was.
8.
And
Don't
Sunday he
shortchange,
was.
Mike.
Say
He
that
had 8.
again.
He had 8. Don't
8
shortchange.
pressures. He had 8 pressures in that game. And then Sunday had one of the biggest plays in the game that will go forgotten
I
about.
think the biggest play in the game.
The biggest play in the game, knocking them out of field goal range in the third quarter. The Packers could have went up 2 possessions, taking a 10-point lead. Dexter Lawrence said, nah, you're getting sacked here, Aaron Rodgers. Sit down. And the Giants made them punt. So that was one of the biggest plays in the game by Dexter Lawrence in the third quarter.
Yeah, I mean, think about this with Dexter Lawrence, and this is not that common for an interior defensive lineman. Sometimes you find a rare guy like an Aaron Donald, right, or a Leonard Williams. And I even said it today on Twitter, Mike. I said you can make an argument that the New York Giants have the best running back / one of the best playmakers in football, the best left tackle, and 2 of the top 10 interior defensive linemen on this team.
Yeah.
So credit to Dave Gettleman for
true.
that. He definitely left us some help there in those areas, because those are all Gettleman guys. But going back to it, Dexter Lawrence, when you think about it, he had the biggest play of the game against the Carolina Panthers, I think, where he chased down Baker Mayfield, forced him into that 4th and 1. And then they had the offsides penalty, because that kind of stalled out their drive. The game would have been completely different had that not happened. Yeah. Then he has the biggest play this past week. And the week before that, he had one of the greatest performances I've ever seen an interior defensive lineman have. So right now, I mean, Dexter Lawrence is just playing at an all-pro level. And that speaks to the coaching staff, because I always thought Dexter Lawrence was good. I didn't think he was this good.
Yeah.
And I think this coaching staff is putting him in the best position for him to succeed. And you're finally getting to see why the New York Giants elected to take him 17th overall. He's been tremendous this year for the Giants. He's probably been, outside of Andrew Thomas and maybe Barkley, but he's right there with those 2. I mean, those 3 have been our 3 best players so far this year.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, as you said, I knew he was good coming into the year, and especially when like Leonard Williams went out, my first thought was like, oh crap, someone's got to step up, and it's got to be Dexter Lawrence. And like, I didn't know if he would. I didn't think Dexter Lawrence had this to his game, like the amount of like quarterback pressures. Obviously, we knew he could stop the run and stuff gaps. I didn't know he can pressure the passer and sack the quarterback like this. I had been pleasantly surprised with Dexter Lawrence. And as you said, I mean, he is turning into one of the best defensive linemen in the league, and he's definitely going to earn a contract extension if he keeps playing like this. I mean, it's going to happen.
Yeah, he's been incredible. And I had somebody on Twitter ask me today, they said, Chris, are you worried that, Dexter Lawrence is playing so well and Barkley's playing so well? Are you worried because they're both coming up on contracts? What are they going to do? I said, listen, that's a good problem to
It's a
have.
good pro I was gonna say the same exact thing, yeah.
Mike, because the worst teams in football use their cap space to sign guys that they did
Sign
not draft,
overpriced free agents like Nate
overpriced free
Solder and
agents.
Golden Tate, yeah.
Yeah, that they
Been
did
there.
not draft because they have to fill in their holes. The best teams pay their in-house guys. So,
Mhm.
it might be a lot, but that's a good problem to have. You want to pay your draft picks. So, yeah, I welcome Dexter Lawrence back with open arms.
Like, you make this parallel connection here. 2018 offseason, the Giants have no left tackle, right? They have to go out there and get somebody. They signed Nate Solder to the highest paid left tackle contract in history at that time. Fast forward like 5 years later, the Giants are in a situation where they can pay Andrew Thomas, one of the top 3 left tackles in football. He's still like 24, 23, 25 years old. And he's like 7 years younger than Nate Solder at that time. They can give him a similar contract. I mean, just think about how important drafting is. We know that, but paying a guy like Andrew Thomas, much younger as compared to a Nate Solder type guy, it's a night and day difference. And like, I think Andrew Thomas is going to be one of the best tackles in the league for the next half decade minimum, probably longer. So to get him at, 4th overall, the Giants had their pick of the litter at any tackle. They made the right choice. And I mean, he's balling so far. I'm glad he's getting the recognition too. We talked about Lawrence getting recognition. Andrew Thomas is getting plenty of, well-deserved recognition as well.
I'm going to tell you this right now, Mike, and I expect Shane to do this at the end of the year. I shouldn't say that with Lawrence, but I wouldn't be surprised. We've talked about Andrew Thomas, giving him an extension. I wouldn't be surprised if they give Dexter Lawrence an extension at the end of the year. I know he's got the 5th-year option, but if they plan on him being here for the next 4 or 5 years, get it done now. Get it done now. Structure the contract in a way that you can make it work year one and get it done. Get that guy signed before the cap continues to go up, because his value will only go up if he's going to continue to flourish in this defense. So if they believe in him and he continues to play at this rate, extend him. Just like we said about Andrew Thomas, do the same thing with Lawrence.
Exactly. I'm looking now because to make the Vita Vea comparison, Vea he signed a 4-year, $73 million contract extension. Like, would you be comfortable giving something like that to Dex? Because 73 mil is a lot for a
If he continues
defensive
playing like
tackle.
this, yeah, man. If he continues playing like this, hell yeah, he's a game breaker.
Yep.
Doesn't matter if it comes off the edge or from the middle. And even if he's not getting sacks, if he finishes the year with 6 or 7 sacks, if he's getting the pressure he's getting, if he's stuffing the run, if he's making plays, if he's creating sacks on the outside for Kayvon Thibodeaux, that's incredibly valuable. And he's still really young. So yeah, he's a guy you can't let go. Not at the rate he's playing. You cannot let him go.
Maybe he's a guy like we talked about franchising Saquon Barkley. If the Giants don't have the cap space or something, like maybe they can franchise Dexter Lawrence if that works out. I have no idea what that cap hit would be, but it's another option in case they want to go that route.
Yeah, they'll have options. But
Yeah.
I want to make sure that guy stays in a Giants uniform for a long time.
I agree. Nick, thank you. Good work, guys. Something to watch out for with how bad the commies are playing. They might get a quarterback. They might get a top 3 quarterback in this draft. I mean, yeah, Carson Wentz has been pretty
Did
disappointing
you see
so
what
far.
Ron Rivera said?
Yeah, he responded quarterback, right, to what the team's problems were. Yeah, that's something.
Imagine that.
Yeah, that's definitely because remember we said that Ben McAdoo threw Eli under the bus at one point in 2017. I mean, that's a different level of throwing a guy under the bus. Just saying my quarterback.
He was literally asked, "What's the problem with Washington? Why are they not competitive with the rest of the teams in the division?" He literally said quarterback.
Yep.
He might as well have said he said Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
So that's crazy, man. That's crazy. I mean, he's not wrong. And
it's like the Stephen A. Smith meme. You're not wrong, but you didn't have to say it. I mean, it's pretty much like that.
And it's kind of in a way, he's complimenting Daniel Jones. So I like to hear it as a Giants fan.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Pandemonium again. Chris Dable and I guess that's Kafka are creating plays that the refs have never seen before. Illegal formation. I mean, yeah, Wildcat. I mean, it's not something common you see nowadays. I know the Giants, they had an illegal formation at some point in this game, right? I forget what point.
Two times. I think both of them in the Wildcat. I think they got called twice.
Well, I mean, you got to have 7 guys on the line, right? That's the rule. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
maybe
they'll get used to it. This is really the first week they really started using it to the extent that they did outside of in an emergency situation the prior week when Jones got hurt. So they'll get used to it. They'll get situated and they'll get it right.
Exactly. Adam, thank you. Always good to see you guys stream together. I said week 1, number 8 upside will prevail over his downside. So far, that's correct. Daniel Jones. I mean, look, outside of the horrible throw week 1 versus the Titans, which that was bad. We can agree on that. The guy's been playing really good football. So, I mean, it's been a lot more upside than downside. Adam's definitely right.
He's made 2 bad throws this year that I could recall off the top of my head. One of them was the throw to Saquon Barkley, the interception, and the other was what should have been a pick 6 week 2, right before
Oh,
that.
yeah. Right.
But outside of that, the last 3 weeks, I don't think he's even had a turnover-worthy play.
Yeah.
He's only fumbled the ball once, to my recollection, I'm pretty sure. His pocket awareness has been much better. And he's got 3 game-winning drives, Mike. He had 3 game-winning drives over his entire career going into this year. He's matched it in 5 games. And he's got 2 comebacks when they were losing at halftime. He had 2 comebacks his entire career going into this year.
Yeah, the Giants, they've been a second half team so far, to say the least. There's something I wanted to say, and I forget, of course, because my memory sucks. The Giants had 2 plays where they got sacked. One of them was the fumble, but there was defensive holding on the Packers. So the Packers kind of bailed us out there, but there was the one, might have been third quarter. Jones got sacked, fumbled. He recovered his own fumble, so like no big deal, but it was holding on the defense. The Giants got a first down. And then I think later in the game, maybe the fourth quarter, the Packers did the same thing. The Packers got a sack. That got called for defensive holding in the secondary. I think it was Rasul Douglas both times, and the Giants were gifted first down. So, I mean, just little things like that. The Packers, like, in different ways, kind of beat themselves. When you go up 17-3 against a team like the Giants, who you are more talented than, to lose a game like that, it freaking stings. At least they get the Jets next week, but if you're a Packers fan, that one's got to hurt.
Oh, yeah. Going in, I mean, I would probably put it on the same level, and we have to take our Giants hats off when I say this. You have to think from the mind of a Packers fan.
Oh, yeah.
I would equate it to, like, if we lost to the Houston Texans.
Right.
Like, that's a game going in, like, we're like, yeah, we're winning that game.
And well, even worse, I mean, like the Giants, because the Packers are favored by 8. Who are the Giants being favored by 8 against? I mean,
it might be Houston by the time we get there.
Hopefully. That would mean we're playing very good, so I hope you're right. But even they won last week, so I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Right now, it'd probably be Giants by like 4.5, 5, but we'll see. If we can get to 8, hopefully. That'd be cool. I would definitely love seeing that.
It might be 7 or 8 by the time we get there.
Yeah. Pandemonium again. Thank you. I agree, Chris. What's hashtag Marlowe? Am I missing something here? Hashtag Marlowe. Marlowe. Why am I not? It's not clicking with me.
Not sure.
Marlowe. Anyways, one of our good problems. We have no cap next year. Got to re-sign our playmakers. I mean, the Giants cap situation isn't that bad next year because I feel like they can get some guys off the books.
Yeah, it's not horrible. It's they're gonna have about $55 to $60 million, and you can extend players and structure it in a way where it's not going to really destroy your cap next year. You could do like bonuses and guaranteed money and divvy it up over the course of the contract. So they're going to have ways to extend players and still give themselves enough cap flexibility to bring in a free agent or two. So I'm not too worried about it. And if you're Shane, if you're smart, you do what the Cowboys did. You go back, look what the Cowboys did 5-6 years ago. They started extending their players that they knew were going to be building blocks, like Tyron Smith and a lot of their offensive linemen. I think they're going to do that with Thomas and maybe Dexter Lawrence. But I think that they could do it in a way where they'll have enough money to at least bring in decent free agents. I don't think they're going to go on spending sprees, but if they can bring in a couple of nice pieces to fill in some vacancies, that's what I think they're going to do.
Yeah, I actually went through the wide receiver free agents earlier today because I'm just a whack job. And I saw the best guy out there is probably Nelson Aguilar. So this is not the offseason for wide receivers. Like, this is not the one. So maybe you try and draft one or something. But, I mean, yeah, the wide receivers at free agents, they're not that good this upcoming season. We'll see if something changes. Maybe they can trade for somebody. We mentioned last time we streamed, we saw that Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, AJ Brown trades, they all happen. So we can see something like that, maybe where the Giants want to take a shot on a guy. There's been a lot of DJ Moore rumors this week, of course, with Matt Rule being fired and the Panthers possibly hitting the reset. But Moore's cap hits like $25 million this year. So I don't think it's going to fit for right now. But maybe in the offseason, you rethink that. And DJ Moore seems like the type of guy that Joe Shane would like. One of those smaller, shifty receivers, is built more on separation rather than being like just physically like huge. So they might go after a guy like that because he's like 25 years old, an interesting player, very talented.
He's perfect.
Yeah,
in terms of the age, in terms of the upside, in terms of the fit for the scheme. And I think he only goes 6.1 against the cap this year. Like if the Giants if they were to trade for him, but we only have about $3 million in cap right now. So we would have to do some maneuvering, or
Yeah.
include a player in the trade, maybe Galladay. They take him back for 1 year, and I don't know, but
Please.
it would take significant draft capital to acquire him, though. So, but I'd be ecstatic if we were able to get a wide receiver like that. Of course, it depends on what you're gonna have to give up to get him, and like you said, he's about $20 million against your cap next year. So,
Yeah.
and for the next 2 years after that. So it's definitely an investment. But if you're going to make a trade for a wide receiver, he's the type that I would want. A guy that's 24, 25, would fit what we're looking to do and would immediately, make this offense just a different animal.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, to give Gettleman credit, he had the right idea. Daniel Jones going into year 3 at that point, you want to give him a great weapon. You go out there and get the best guy on the market in Kenny Galladay. It just happened to be the wrong guy. So, like, the Giants had the right thought process. It just happened to be the wrong guy. So, I'm a big process guy. I like when teams have the right process. Sometimes you get the wrong results. It is what it is. So, Galladay, although getting a top end wide receiver was the right idea, it was just the wrong move because Galladay
It
was
was like
just
Solder.
clearly. Yeah,
It was
so
Solder. It was
Solder.
the
Yeah.
same thing as Solder. Getting the top end left tackle was the right idea, but it failed miserably.
Yeah, exactly. From here, Jynam. Is that how you pronounce it? Jynam? Maybe? I don't know. But we should trade for DJ Moore. Jones needs help if we get him. It's more going to be more Slayton and James, which is somewhat ideal, not really counting Tony. Even Wan'Dale Robinson, too. Got to include him. Guys
Yeah,
like
we're gonna have
that.
him back soon.
Yeah. So, I mean, hopefully, I don't know when he's due back, Robinson. It seemed like he's getting closer, though. Tony, I have no idea, but I just want to see Wan'Dale out there. He's one of our guys from this past draft class. We saw him catch one pass for 5 yards in week 1, and then he's been out of our lives ever since. So I want to see him out there. He definitely has a ton of upside, and he was so good at Kentucky last year. So I just want to see him go out there, make some big plays, and hopefully stretch the field for this offense.
I got a good feeling that we're gonna have him back this week.
I hope, yeah.
I really do. But maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe it'll be another week. But I think it's coming. I'm leaning that it's going to be this week. Just Patricia Traina, who I do a show with weekly, told me that she talked to him last week, and she was under the assumption that he had a very good chance of playing this week. So
Okay.
Against the Packers. So I'm leaning that it's at least somewhat probable we're going to see him this week. Hopefully we do.
Yeah, no, it'd been great, honestly. Jake Brown, I completely trust this regime to make the right moves that will make what we are doing now a long-term success. Thank you, Jake. I actually agree with that. I have full trust in Shane, and how could you not trust Brian Daboll right now? You know what I mean? Like, you have to have faith in these guys. I know Joe Shane, like, you have to at least have a couple years of a GM's resume to really start to see if it's coming to fruition. But I would say so far, Shane had a responsible first offseason, understood where the Giants were at as a team, pretty much told us we're going to rebuild, and didn't exactly say it, but said it pretty much to our faces in one of his interviews. But the Giants are finding a way to just win games because their coaching is great. They're getting the most out of these players, and guys that were not guys that were playing like pretty well last year, guys like Andrew Thomas and Dexter Lawrence, as we mentioned, have taken their games to a different level. And I think the coaching staff has a ton to do with that. So definitely shout out to them. But I definitely agree. The coaching, the general manager, it seems to be going in the right direction. And hopefully in a year or two, the Giants will be like legitimate Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah, definitely the coach. Like what Brian Daboll's been able to do with this team. I'm not trying to say I don't have faith in Shane. I do. I think he's a smart guy. I think he's going to build this team right. Shane hasn't done a ton yet because he didn't really have an opportunity to do a ton yet. He didn't have any free agent money, and we had 2 picks inside the top 7. So I mean, Gettleman could have made those picks. So I'm not knocking Shane at all. And there's members of this draft that look like they have a lot of potential. Bellinger, for sure, looks really good. Belton looks like he has potential. As Zudu. Yeah. We'll see, but I could certainly see that he has upside. Even what's his name, the linebacker before he went down, everybody loved.
Not McFadden. What the hell? Oh, Beavers, Darian Beavers.
Yeah, he looked really good too. So, and some of his mid-tier free agent acquisitions, a lot of them look pretty good too. So far so good with Shane. I'm really excited to see how he builds this team. I think next year is going to be the real first true test of him because he's going to have some money to spend, and we're going to really see how he starts to structure this roster. But I think he made a lot of hard decisions, and right now they look like the right ones, right? He let go of Blake Martinez. Everybody screamed at him for that. Jalen Smith looks pretty good. He got him for next to nothing, and he was playing really well this past game against the Green Bay Packers. He got rid of Bradbury. Everybody criticized him for that, but it wasn't really his choice. He had to, right, with the cap situation we had. And the corners are holding up. I don't know how they're doing it, but they're doing it. So, so
Yeah.
far,
Wait. At one point, we had what was his name? Justin Lane and freaking who else was the other cornerback? Oh my god.
what's his name? The special teams guy, McLeod.
Yeah, Nick McLeod. It's
Yeah,
like against Aaron Rodgers, and they were
and I'm
finding.
gonna tell you
Oh
what,
my
Mike,
god.
that is where Green Bay screwed up their game plan because I think what they saw, and I would have thought the same thing if I was Aaron Rodgers. So I'm not like saying he's stupid,
Yeah.
but I would have thought the same thing if I was Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. You see McLeod, you're like, we got to pick on this guy. Let's throw the football. But when they did that, um, they got away from the run game because they started throwing the ball too much. They were running the ball so effectively on the New York Giants in the first half, and they just stopped running the ball. And
Mhm.
what Wink did was he took away the short passing game, which they were tearing us up with the screens the whole game. And he said, try and beat us deep. He
Yeah.
challenged Rodgers, and they couldn't do it, and they couldn't establish the ground game. So I thought that was a big mistake by Green Bay to get away from the run.
I was gonna say the same exact thing. I was thinking about that before. Like, not only as a Packers fan would I be mad we just blew a game where we were up 17-3 against the Giants as 8-point favorites, but you look at the way the game went. Aaron Jones was running the ball effectively. AJ Dillon was even better yards per carry wise, and they just completely went away from the run in the second half. Like, thank you. Like, we'll take that as Giants fans, but I don't know what the thought process was there. I get that the Giants were down corners. You want to take advantage there, but they had to realize at some point that the Giants pass defense was playing very well and the Packers passing offense was not getting much. And speaking of Nick McLeod, he was tested on the final play. If Xavier McKinney didn't bat that last ball down on the fourth down play, it was going to a back shoulder to Alan Lazard on Nick McLeod, which of course could have been bad news. So thank God McKinney knocked that pass away. Thibodeaux, the play before, didn't exactly knock it down. I think Rodgers threw it off of him, but so close to the interception there by Tay Crowder. But that final sequence there, the last two downs there for the Packers offense was so fun. Even the strip sack by O'Shane Ximines. I mean, what was because I saw your reaction on stream, of course. Like, what was your initial reaction? For me, it was more disbelief that we really just did this. But were you running around your house and acting all crazy? Like, what was your reaction when that strip sack happened?
Oh, dude. I was going bananas. I was going absolutely bananas. You're talking about the last play of the game, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, first off, everybody in my stream was going crazy after we held them on fourth down. And they were like, the game's over. I'm like, no, the game's not over.
Yeah.
There was 15 seconds left, and I've seen Aaron Rodgers. If there's one quarterback that you don't say that about, it's him. He is the king of the Hail Mary, and Giants
We
fans
saw
know
it,
that,
yeah.
right?
Yep.
So when they punted after the safety and I saw they got it at the 40, I was nervous. I was like, I've seen this guy hit two Hail Marys on the same drive against the Cardinals. I've seen this guy hit a Hail Mary against the Lions, seen him in a Hail Mary against us in the playoff game. So, and I don't think it's luck. It's happened way too much with him that he's good at that. So when they got it to the 40, I'm like, they got a shot still.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they got that full start, I started to ease up a little bit. I'm like, all right, now they're at the 35. Like, now it's going to be really hard. And, I said to Bad Dog, who I was streaming it with, I said, you got to send pressure here. And I know, traditionally speaking, on a Hail Mary, you don't do that. You drop everybody back in coverage. But against him, you got to try to get that ball out quick, in my opinion, before his receivers have an opportunity to get 65, 70 yards down the field. And luckily, I think they did that. They sent maybe an extra guy than they traditionally would. They got the sack. And I was going bananas, Mike. I was going, I could, at first I was like waiting. And then when I, because I'm still like, is he going to get out of it? And then when they crushed him, man, I was going bananas. I was screaming at the top of my lungs.
Oh, it was awesome. Yeah. But there's a little development going on with our punter here. Is this true that Jamie Gillian has a passport issue and is still in London? I mean, apparently it's an easy fix according to Ryan here, but it's a bit interesting. I didn't know that was going to happen. Hopefully he's fine because, Gillian's been amazing so far this year, but I see the chat talking about it. So I don't know.
Passport issue and he's still in London and easy fix. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
No, I didn't even hear about that.
That must have just happened because I didn't hear about it either. Yeah.
I'm doing the picture.
Oh, there you go.
That's me.
Where's that guy who was Entertainah talking McDonald's or something with the fat booth photo?
Yeah.
That was a funny
I haven't seen him in a while. He'll probably pop in now that you said that.
That was a good one. But yeah, I mean, even guys like O'Shane Ximines, as we talked about, Kayvon Thibodeaux on that final play, by the way, he just took off like a rocket ship. I mean, he got past his guy in half a second. Aaron Rodgers had to do his signature spin out to his left type thing because Kayvon Thibodeaux was there within half a second. It was insane. And Thibodeaux's a guy I'm sure you got a couple of chats in your stream. I got a couple in mine about, oh, if Kayvon doesn't have a sack yet, is he a bust? I'm like, guys, like he's playing very well. Like you got to
Kayvon,
watch the
Kayvon,
game.
Kayvon's great.
He's getting by his man like consistently. So I thought he looked very encouraging. The sack hasn't showed up yet, but it's gonna happen. It's getting there. He's getting close.
That was the best I've seen Kayvon all year. I
Yeah.
mean, he made a couple really nice plays. If I recall, and I have to go back and watch, I think he even kind of was at least part of the reason why Dexter Lawrence got his sack. Because he had pressure up the outside, and he kind of made him step up in the pocket, and it led to Lawrence getting it. He made a really nice play at the end of the game against the run, where he tackled him at the line of scrimmage, and yeah, he's getting there. He's very close, and
Mhm.
you certainly see the attributes as to why people were so high on him going into the draft yesterday.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even like defensively, like what else is there to talk about? I think, the second half holding them to 0 points, I guess technically two. Guys like Julian Love are stepping up, of course. Moreau made another deep pass breakup. I know Lazard almost made an insane catch on that one, but you mentioned Dane Belton. Aaron Robinson's out for the year now, which sucks, and we didn't have Cordell Flott, but just somehow this cornerback group it always finds a way to step up. Guys like Ryan Lewis a couple of years ago, like we always see it with this team somehow. Guys continue to step up, and Adoree Jackson went down. Thank God he seems to be okay because that's the one guy on defense that I'm so afraid to lose because after him, we are very thin at the cornerback spot. So luckily he should be okay. I mean, of course, he has the injury history, so he'll be fine though. But I think so far for the injuries the Giants have faced on defense, I mean, they're playing super well. And I think Don Martindale's had such a great influence on that. And, guys, once again, Dexter Lawrence are playing much better. They're playing up to their highest potential. So I like what I'm seeing so far defensively.
How could you not?
Yeah.
How could you not? I'm super excited about our defense, and that's without a lot of the pieces. So,
Hmm.
I can't even imagine how good this defense is going to look once Kayvon Thibodeaux starts to mature even more, and once we get Leonard Williams back in this lineup. At least the front seven. We haven't heard anything about Adoree Jackson. Hopefully, we get word on that and,
Yeah.
and find out how serious that injury is. Because if he's out, it's going to be tough. I know that they were able to get by, this past week, but it's going to be tough. Now, if there was a week where we're going to be short at corner, as crazy as this may sound to some people, this may not be the worst week. Because it's not like Lamar, to me, he's more of a guy that likes to feature Andrews, the tight end. And he's got like one, what's his name? The one wide receiver that he likes to use.
They got Bateman and Duvernay.
Bateman. Duvernay's
Yeah.
had a couple big plays too.
Yeah.
But there could be worse weeks, is what I'm getting at. In terms of, certain quarterbacks that you'd be going up against, certain offenses you'd be going up against. Against the Ravens, you're more concerned with the tight end over the middle and Lamar Jackson's legs.
Mhm.
So hopefully we have him. But I do think it's a game where we may be able to get by defensively if we don't.
Yeah.
I think the primary focus in this game has to be to contain Lamar Jackson in the pocket and try not to let him beat you with his legs.
Yeah, I saw the game on Sunday night. Lamar missed a couple of easy, like not easy, but just like deep ball potential touchdown passes. He overthrew a couple guys. So, I mean, you would like to make Lamar a pocket passer. Once he gets into like the intermediate passes with Mark Andrews, that's when he's scary. Getting out the pocket, he's scary. So, you want to make Lamar a pocket guy and just make him beat you over the top, like the Giants did with Aaron Rodgers in the second half, as you mentioned. That would be my game plan, at least. From Jason, thank you. How about Jalen Smith? Want to keep him next year? I mean, Jalen Smith is what, 27 years old? Like he's pretty young. I mean, the way he's playing right now, if he keeps that up, I mean, this team's already thin as it is at linebacker. I would say yes to this. I would like to keep him.
I love him.
Yeah.
I mean, he was playing like a dog this week. I mean, my God, you go back and see some of the replays and how hard he was hitting some of these guys. And he's a perfect fit for this defense too.
It's got range, yeah.
Yeah, like he's a really good blitzing linebacker. So that was a really good pickup by the New York Giants. I'm glad he's back. He looked really good this week.
Yeah, I don't know about you. I get like extra appeal because of like he was a former Cowboy, so I kind of like that. Like we took your guy and now we're gonna make him even better. So not better because he had a great Cowboys career at one point, but you know what I mean. Just take him.
There's
from
no way
Dallas.
of knowing though, because if we get back what the rookie we just said earlier,
Beavers.
I think he was going to probably have a similar type of role. So if we get him back and he's healthy next year, you might not bring back Jalen Smith, but I'd love to have him back. He's played really well for the Giants since we got him.
Yeah, the Beavers injury sucked. He looked so good in the one preseason game, and then I think that was MetLife turf strikes again, so that sucked. Bill, thank you very much. Sup, boys? Sorry I'm late. Any word on injuries? Leo, KT, etc. I apologize if this is redundant. We didn't talk much about the injuries, right? It's only Tuesday, so you're not going to get that many injury report news. I'll look it up real quick for you.
Yeah, I was looking all day, Bill. I haven't heard. I mean, maybe Mike will find something, but I was looking all over Twitter. I was looking on the internet, and I didn't see any updates. But it's possible they're traveling home back from London. They probably gave him the day off today,
Yeah.
so they probably didn't talk to the press today. So there's probably no updates on that front. So hopefully Adore is good to go this week. I don't know. I don't know the extent of that injury.
There's a lot of questionables out here. Even DJ Davidson placed on IR. I didn't see that
Yeah,
one.
I
Yeah.
know he's out. He's
Yeah.
hurt.
Adoree Jackson, knee, neck has been downgraded to out, of course. So nothing new there, but I don't really take practices like seriously until Thursday. I feel like that's the day where like if you're out on Thursday practice, then it starts to get a little like concerning
Yeah,
because that's
like
when
what happened
people
with Tony this week.
yeah. The
Like when
Tony report.
yeah, because he was limited. I think he was like limited, and then he didn't practice on Thursday. So once that happened, you knew he wasn't going to play this week.
Let's make a prediction right now. When do you think Kadarius Toney steps back on the field for the Giants? At this point, I might just say after the bye, week 10.
I was going to just
Yeah.
say that after the bye, and that's in what like three. They got what like three more
It's like a
games.
month. Yeah. 5 weeks.
Yeah, 3 games. They got this game,
Yeah.
the Seahawks game, and the other game on the road.
Seattle, Jacksonville.
Jacksonville.
Yeah.
I think he'll sit out for those 3 games, and then they'll have the 2 weeks, and then he'll come back after the bye. That's my prediction.
Super frustrating. I know it sucks.
Yeah,
I just want to see him out there. If you haven't watched the sights and sounds from the Giants yet, Kayvon was all over the place giving motivation. Man wants to win. Yeah, I mean, I think because of course some players coming out of college, like people don't know what to criticize them about, so they'll give them like these BS character concerns and quotes. And I think like Kayvon, people didn't like him because like he invested in Bitcoin and shit like that. He was like a different cat, right? And people didn't like that. But like I think on the football field and like being committed to football, I have no problems with Kayvon Thibodeaux. I think he's a great teammate, very likable guy. You see him doing the Dougie when he gets the false starts against them. Like it's great. I love the atmosphere. I think he's a great guy and he's a great talent too. So he's fun to watch and hopefully at some point becomes a star edge rusher in this league.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you what, man. And obviously, I didn't know a whole lot about him regarding that.
Yeah.
Regarding like the off the field stuff that people were saying were concerns going into drafting him, which is why a lot of people speculated why he may have dropped down some people's draft boards. But yeah, I've seen the complete opposite. He definitely has a colorful personality.
Yeah.
I'll say that. Like that's obvious. But that's fine. I like that. There's nothing wrong with that. But he seems like a team first guy. He seems like a guy that, that's going to work hard. And so far he's done all the right things. So, that's something that really hasn't been talked about because that was kind of a minor concern going into the year, but it's been anything but that. So yeah, I have full confidence that Kayvon's going to just improve as a player and seems to be a team first guy, not a guy I'm really worried about in terms of that aspect.
Yeah, I have not seen any red flags so far. I mean, I don't know what that was all about. Jihad Ward reinvented himself. Jihad Ward statistics wise didn't have like the biggest game, but you can tell he's making an impact. And he's a guy that is another motivational guy, a good locker room guy. I think he was the one who stuck up the double middle fingers in the locker room, right? That was him. I like what I see so far. I like the type of attitude. We saw that with Eli Manning on national TV, so of course we love that. But Jihad Ward was one of those afterthoughts, the type of guy that we got from Jacksonville, I think, and he was on Baltimore or something, and he was just like a rotational player, and that's pretty much what he is here. He's going to be behind guys like Azeez Ojulari and Kayvon Thibodeaux, of course, and maybe even O'Shane Ximines at times. But he's been a good locker room guy. He's making impacts. I mean, that's what you have to expect from these guys. Just make an impact when you're on the field, and so far, Jihad Ward has done that.
Yeah, it seemed to me with the 2 middle fingers they're adopting. I don't know if you saw what I tweeted. It blew up. I said, like, how does it feel, Giants fans, to be the worst Form 1 team in the history of the NFL? And it was funny. That actually got, like, posted in, like, several articles, like WFAN. And was
really?
Yeah, I was laughing because people were at me and showing it to me. But I feel like that's, like, what Jihad Ward is adopting when he does that. And, like, because all we've heard is, they're the worst 2-0 team of all time. They're the worst 3-1 team of all time. The worst 4-1 team of all time. And he's basically saying, up yours. Keep speaking your keep speaking your hate. We're gonna keep proving you wrong. So, and I think Giants fans love that. We love to be the underdog. That's just in our nature, and we love when our team adopts that. So, I like seeing that from Jihad Ward.
Yeah, I love it too because like it just makes you like want to see them succeed even more. Like I remember this is an old example. I don't know if people remember this, but Eli Manning before the 2011 season went on Mike Francesa's show and said he believes he's one of the elite quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yep.
And people wrote about that and mocked him and said, "You're not in Tom Brady's class," and blah, blah, blah. And then like 7 months later, he beat Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. And it just made it so much sweeter because you see Eli talk his shit, say, "I'm elite," and then he backs it up 7 months later and beats Brady in the Super Bowl. I mean, stuff like that, I love to see it, especially when guys can back it up.
Yeah, it was just meant to be. And I
Yeah.
remember listening to that interview, and Michael K set him up.
Oh, it was Michael
He's
K?
Yeah, it was Michael K.
Oh,
Yeah.
my bad. I said Francesa. My bad.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was Michael K. Yeah, he set him up, man. Eli didn't like go out of his way intentionally to say that he was an elite quarterback. Like Michael K definitely like, like inspired him to say it. Like he
Yeah.
definitely like urged him along to try to get those words out of him because he was coming off a really tough year. I think where he led the league in interceptions, and obviously he was like 2 or 3 years removed from a Super Bowl victory. And yeah, he showed confidence in himself. And like you said, man, the ultimate backing up that year in 2011, he just flipped the switch on. And you got the feeling going into that year that not that we were going to win a Super Bowl, but that you were going to get a much better Eli Manning, not just from that interview. I remember he was working out with Victor Cruz and Mario Manningham at like high school fields, like 2 months before voluntary mini camps. And you could see that he was really, really putting in that effort to be, to be the best player he possibly can. And
Mhm.
that's kind of a similar feeling you're getting with a lot of the players on this team.
Yeah, I mean, these guys, I feel like they want it. I don't know. I don't want to say the guys the last few years didn't want it because that's like kind of crappy to say, but like you get a different vibe, different atmosphere from this team, a different attitude for sure. It just, I don't know. The Giants just they had that loser, not mentality, but just losing identity. And like they always found ways to lose games the past few years. I see it in my comments every week that the Giants are now winning games they would have lost the past few years. And
100%.
when you develop that winning identity, it just makes everything better. Like people talk about culture this, culture that. When you start to win, that's when your culture gets created. And the Giants are now creating this positive culture. I'm sure players from other teams are seeing this and they probably want to be a part of it, maybe. So a guy that may have never considered the Giants in the past may now look at the Giants in free agency and say, "Hey, that guy Dable looks fun to play for. Those guys are all bought in. Let me bring my talents to the Giants and see what happens." So it's good for everything, honestly.
100%. You start winning football games, you start keeping your players. You start creating a happy atmosphere. It's
Yeah.
gonna make it so other players want to come and play here.
Yeah, definitely. Andy, thank you. I'll say this before the season and I'll say it again. If Danny Dimes wins 10 games or more, he's getting franchise tagged. Also, do you guys collect cards? For the second part, I used to. I have a whole bunch of cards in my closet. I actually went through them during quarantine because I was bored. I made a video about it,
Give me
which
one second.
got
Give me
like
one
no
second.
views.
I'm gonna show you a couple of cards. Give
Oh,
me
here
one
we
second.
go. All right. We got a
I
guy
don't
with
like
some good
crazy
cards
cards,
here.
but during the pandemic, I picked it up as a hobby.
All right, so Chris said during the pandemic he picked it up as a hobby in case you missed that part. But yeah, I used to be into it. I just like I don't know. I just stopped at a certain age for some reason. Cards were definitely bigger when I was growing up. Not exactly bigger, but you know what I mean. Just nowadays you don't see it too often, and I feel like now it's more digital, which is not as fun. Like you want to have like the physical card in your hand. So I don't know what my most expensive card is, what my favorite one is. I have no idea. I have a lot of local guys like Derek Jeter autographs, David Wright. I did a lot of baseball cards, Eli Manning, things like that. What do we
These are
have
just a
here?
couple of random ones that I just picked up, but I got this one. It was like I don't know. It was probably like $20 at the time, and the way he's playing right now, maybe this card's a higher in value. Actually, one of my subscribers gave this to me, if I recall. This is a Daniel Jones graded
Nice.
autographed jersey card, 101, I think, right? Or I don't even know. No, it was 65 total. But that's a cool card, as
Yeah.
a Giants fan. And then I would, I'm a Nick fan, so I got an RJ Barrett graded.
Yeah,
Prism.
all right.
Lamar Jackson, I got graded. I got him.
Nice.
And this at the time, I thought he was going to take off during the pandemic, and he
Uh-oh.
kind of. DeAndre Ayton, I bought a bunch of his, but his cards are really low, so I was thinking he was going to take off. He hasn't quite taken off. Like
Did you see what happened last night in the Nuggets game? It was so awkward. I've never seen this happen before. It was so funny. So DeAndre Jordan, former Net, of course, former Clipper, former Nick actually for half a year. He's now on the Nuggets, and the PA announcer was doing like the pregame announcing the guys' names, and he goes center in his 12th year. DeAndre Ayton, and like everybody freezes and they're like, what the hell did he just say? And then a second later, he's like, DeAndre Jordan, like nothing happened. I've never seen that in like, my all years of watching sports. I've never seen a PA guy mess up a name before.
That's
It's so
pretty bad,
funny.
man.
It's
You were probably hoping he was right.
yeah. It's funny.
Probably hoping he was right, man. DeAndre Ayton is pretty damn good.
Oh, I know. Yeah, there were some rumors about him going to the Nets, but luckily Durant's back. We'll see how long that lasts for. Nice comment here. Thank you. Shout out to Mike. Keep it up on the stream alongside with Chris, the Entertainah. I subscribe to your channel. Big shout out to NY Sports Entertainment. Yeah, guys, subscribe to Chris, the Entertainah. I'm sure everybody here knows him, but he's awesome. Great channel. Works very hard. Has a new microphone. Has a new camera, so it's even better production now. Just when you thought Chris's content couldn't get better.
I got to work on the. I appreciate it, Mike, but I got to work on the office look like you have. That's my next goal. I want to have like a desk set up, and but right now it's just I want a little Giants flair. I wanted to get away from the green screen. I'm sick of the green screen, and
really?
I kept seeing people in my comments, Chris, get a better mic, get a better mic, get a better mic. I'm like, yeah, you know what? I should get it. I got to get a better mic. So it's worth it. It's expensive, but it's worth it. The investment's worth it. Well, you guys let me know in the chat. You guys let me know in the chat.
No,
how does it sound?
I mean,
I can't hear myself. How does it sound?
That was one of the first few comments I saw, honestly, when we hopped on here, was how crisp your microphone was. So I think people liked it from what I saw.
Good.
But yeah, I mean, I wanted to make a mic upgrade at one point. I had like a couple of those like snowball things, and I don't know. I just felt like it was time. So all right, let's go for a few more chats here. I want to definitely watch the Yankee game at some point soon, so we'll get to that. Do you want to talk about the Mets quickly, or are you still kind of like mending with
I could talk about it.
Like what? Like, I don't know. Do you look at the season as a failure? 100 wins, 101 wins. I mean, good regular season, of course, but Atlanta caught up to you, passed you, and yeah.
Listen, man. In years past, obviously I'm upset, but in years past I would have been much more upset than I am now, because before we had Steve Cohen, when we had Wilpon. When you had an opportunity, you knew in the back of your head, you're like, we're not going to have another opportunity for another 10 years.
Yeah.
Because that's just the way the Mets were, because they weren't willing to go out there and spend. And, they would have a year or two window, and then they wouldn't be able to retain a lot of their players. So with Cohen, I don't feel that way. With Cohen, I feel like we'll be back. We'll be back as soon as next year. Like, I think we're in the same class now as the Dodgers and the Yankees, the way that we're going to spend. We have some good farm pieces coming up next year. So I think we'll be back. And I just think it was a bad luck year in the sense that the team started to kind of cool off over the last month or so. It was still a great year. We won 101 games. I certainly didn't expect that before the year started. I thought maybe 95, 96 at most. Mm-hmm. And I think it was just bad luck that the Braves were in our division, because if anybody else was in our division outside of the West, we win the National League East. It's actually the second most wins the Mets have ever had in a single regular season in the history of the franchise. So it was an incredibly successful year. Just ended in an unfortunate way, and but like I said, I think we'll be back, and I think from an optimistic standpoint, this should only incentivize Steve Cohen to go out there and spend a lot more this offseason, which I know he will. So I think we'll be aggressive, and I think we'll have an even better product next year. But I'm not surprised. And I don't even I know like a lot of people like to pick on the Mets, and they say, oh, the Mets always choke, and the LOL memes and yada, yada, yada. I don't feel like we choked. I feel like the Braves just took it, because the Mets played well all year. They did. I don't think they had a month all year where they had a losing record. It wasn't like they completely fell apart. It's the Braves were the best team in baseball by a wide margin, including the Dodgers after May 1st or June 1st. I think there were 7 games under 500 on June 1st, and they won 101 games. So they just played at an unbelievable pace. When the Mets would win 2 out of 3, and you'd be looking over your shoulder and we'd lose a game. And you'd be like, my God, this team just never loses.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I just feel like the Braves took it from us. You tip your cap, man. They're an incredible baseball team, and they're probably the favorites, in my opinion, to win the World Series right now, as hot as they were going into the playoffs. So we'll see if they repeat. But yeah, of course you're upset, especially the way that it ended. We had 1 hit. I mean, it was embarrassing, right? And first came up short in game 1. But I think we'll be back. So I feel a lot better than I have in years past when we got knocked out in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's not a collapse like the 08 Mets or the 07 Mets. It's not even like close to that. It's definitely not a collapse in my opinion. But yeah, getting 1 hit definitely sucks in a situation like that. Now, next we have Will throwing me under the bus here for a quote I guess I said early on. Mike, you said DJ re-signing was a 1% chance. What is the chance now? Oh, geez. What is my my updated version of this? I guess like, do you mean like re-signing to a I guess
I'm going to
franchise?
assume because I think Will's probably smart enough to realize we're not going to sign him to a 5-year deal.
Okay, like franchise.
Outside of winning the Super Bowl.
I'm still under 50 by a little. I'll give it like 40% because as I said, I think ultimately the GM Shane and Brian Dable came here wanting to one day get their own quarterback. Will they be swayed if Daniel Jones plays a full season like this? Probably, but we're only like, 3 games into Daniel Jones playing very well. It's got to, keep going. So it's definitely much higher than 1% though. I'll tell you that. I mean, Chris, you can answer this one too.
I'm higher than you. I'm not near like 100%. I'd go 60 to 65% right now.
Okay.
And I definitely think he's trending up. Ask me that question in 3 weeks. If he continues at this pace, I'll probably be about 80%.
Right.
He's definitely going in the right direction. And if he stays healthy and this team makes the playoffs, he's coming back. That's my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, if the Giants at some point, like if they can get to 9 or 10 wins this year and it's with Jones playing at a pretty high level, not like, I'm trying to like think of a comparison of a quarterback, like kind of like what I always make the Alex Smith on the Chiefs comparison. If he plays like that, then I see no reason why you shouldn't bring him back for at least another year and put a better team around him and, just see what happens. I mean, I'm not saying that'll make him a franchise quarterback, but it did help with Jalen Hurts, as we're seeing with AJ Brown and guys like that. Tua looked better before the injury with Tyreek Hill implemented. So, that's definitely going to help. And we'll see if Daniel Jones can eventually get a good team around him. We're still waiting here 4 years later, but maybe by the 5th year, if he comes back, we can finally see, Jones get a fair shot for once in his career.
I don't want to franchise tag him, though. I've seen people in the chat say that. I don't want to franchise tag him. I'd rather give him a 3-year deal where I could get out, after a year if things go south. So I don't have to fully commit $32 million to next year's cap. Because if you franchise tag him, you can't move the money around. So I'd rather give him like a 2 or 3 year deal and, have like a $7 or $8 million dead cap hit in year 2 if you need to get out of the contract. So that's the route I think they'll take. But I'm definitely leaning that's where they're going to go. And right now, if you ask me, Mike, I think that's the smarter approach because I think we're going to be in a spot, even if we miss the playoffs, if we're picking like 18, 17, 16, I think you're going to be in a spot where if you want a quarterback, you're going to have to trade up. And I look at this team and we have so many holes. I don't want to give away all that draft capital to move up and get a quarterback and then have a situation where we don't have any wide receivers to support them. And so I'm definitely at the spot now where, I'm definitely leaning that I'd rather bring Jones back and hope that he can mature and grow even further as a quarterback once he gets some more help on this football team and just take it year by year and see where it goes.
Yeah, as you said, if they get like the 18th pick or something like that, I don't think it's impossible to trade up for a quarterback because it depends how much Shane loves one of these prospects. If Joe Shane looks at CJ Stroud, for instance, and says, oh, that guy's going to be a top 10 quarterback one day, I could see him trading a ton for him. Like I could see that. But a team like Houston, which is probably going to be like the first overall pick, they're probably going to take him anyway. So if a quarterback is that good, he's probably going first overall anyway. So I don't even think it's like
my outlook on it. Yeah,
it's not even realistic for the Giants to like trade up for a quarterback. Now, if it's like, how it was with the Joe Burrow draft where like a bunch of position players went after him, then like maybe you can trade up to one of those 2 or 3 spots. But like then again, you have to give up like
the other thing though, Mike, they're gonna have to make this decision before the draft.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's true.
Jones is a free agent.
Yeah, that doesn't help, but yeah.
So if they're picking 17 or 18, they're not going to know where these quarterbacks are going to fall in the draft.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes they like have an idea of how the draft's going to go, but of course teams jump up and things change. And, we saw it with the Niners trading up with the Eagles a few years back. Like it happens. Yeah.
But to me, that Niners team made more sense because they were much further developed than this team is.
That's true. Yeah.
It was worth giving up that draft capital because at that point, I mean, you saw what they had. They had a team with Jimmy Garoppolo that was this close to going to the Super Bowl. So I just don't think it makes a ton of sense unless you have to be like beyond in love with the quarterback to make that big of a leap.
Yeah, I agree with that. Nick says this reminds me of the 2018 Nets. I agree with that. I know Nick's a Nets fan, one of the many, one of the 12 Nets fans that are alive right now. So shout out to Nick. But it was a fun year, very unexpected. Of course, the D'Angelo Russell year, they made a playoff run. Got out in the first round, of course. But yeah, the Giants can be like a similar type team where they like make the playoffs and kind of like the Eagles last year, as you said, they might make the playoffs, get to the wild card. They might lose to a very, good opponent like the Eagles did with Tampa last year, but at least to just make it there and give the guys the confidence that, like, hey, we'll be back. We got to make some improvements here and there, but like, we'll be back. I think just getting there is important. I know some people care about draft position right now. I don't know how you could, being 4-1. I just want to make it there and see, as you said before, crazier things have happened. Like, the Giants weren't expected to beat Tampa in 2007. They weren't expected to beat Dallas in 2007 and Green Bay, the Patriots. Crazy things happen. Not saying this
Atlanta,
team,
yeah.
yeah, not saying this team will be 2007, but like, it's the NFL. Any given
Listen,
Sunday, and
and again, I'm not if we make the playoffs, I'm thrilled. If we lose in the first round, you kind of expect it. We're an inexperienced team. Jones has never played in the playoffs, and all these players have really never played in the playoffs, right? So you'd expect us to probably struggle in our first playoff. But when you look around the NFC conference, Mike, there's a chance.
yeah,
There's a
no, I
chance.
agree with that. Yeah,
Because there is no unbelievable. There's no Bills in this conference. There's no Chiefs in this conference. You've got Jalen Hurts with the Eagles, who's never won a playoff game.
yep,
You've got the Green Bay Packers, who we just beat. You've got the Bucks, who do not look near what they were a couple of years ago.
yep.
Who's scared? Like, who's like a team that you go into in the NFC conference, you say there's no way we could beat them?
I'm looking at it now. The teams I would fear the most:
The Niners for me.
Niners, Tampa. I think they'll get their crap together when they get healthy. Niners, Tampa, and that might be it. I mean, I I don't know about Philly. I don't know if they're legit. I don't know. I have no idea if Philly's legit. I think we can beat them possibly, but of course the Eagles would be favored. So the Giants have
I'm
to
gonna
play
tell
like
you
a
what, Mike. My preseason Super Bowl pick. I did not like how it looked after 2 weeks. I really like how it looks after 5, and that's the beauty of the NFL. My preseason Super Bowl pick was Bills Niners,
Bills Niners.
and
Yeah, yeah.
after 2 weeks seeing the way that Trey Lance played, and before the injury, I was like, well, I'm probably going to be changing that Niners pick in a week or two, but I think they're still my favorite team in the NFC. I
Yeah.
think I'm sticking. I like my prediction, Bills Niners.
Yeah, I don't know how the Niners continue to get it done. They have the best defense in the league. That helps. But like you look at their offense with Jimmy, it's like so inconsistent at times. But when your defense is that good, it freaking helps. We know that. There was one from Andy. I didn't. Oh, here we go. Andy, again, thank you. Years of Giants depression was a good thing for the Giants entertainment. I never miss a live game or stream of the dynamic duo. Thank you. Also love Mike's pre-post games. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it was a lot of Giants depression, anger, frustration, and everything. I mean, we experienced a lot in the last 5 years. So I think, I said this last game, we deserve this. We deserve that great win against the Packers. We deserve everything that's coming to us because we have been through more crap than most fan bases will go through in a decade the past 5 years.
Yeah, and Andy, man, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it, man. Always love coming on here with Mike. Looking forward to having him back on my channel next week. But yeah, thank you so much for tuning in, man. We both appreciate it.
I want to get your opinion here, JP. No Ohio State quarterbacks, please. Do you buy into that narrative, or
No,
I'm with you? They're different people. I mean,
we're not
look
going to
at
have to worry about it because we're not
yeah,
getting CJ Stroud. We're not. I think he's gonna be the first quarterback off the board. I actually like him a lot as a prospect, but I am firmly of the belief that you don't judge a quarterback by the school. You judge you don't judge it by the helmet. You judge him by his skill set. So, yeah, I mean, people have said that about several colleges, and I could point to several quarterbacks. Who was the great quarterback from Oregon before Justin Herbert?
Marcus Mariota.
Yeah, I mean, come on. So, like, you know what I'm saying? So, like, and you can say that about several other schools. So, I understand that it's not. They traditionally have more of a spread offense, and it's not conducive to the NFL, and they have a lot of high end talent, and they play in a conference where it allows the offense to flourish, and there's not a lot of great defenses, and I get all that. And you look at Dwayne Haskins, didn't do much. You look at a lot of these quarterbacks, but if the guy could play, he could play. I don't care if he plays at Ohio State. I don't care if he plays at Nassau Community College. If the guy can play, he can play. And I've seen CJ Stroud, and I like CJ Stroud. So the fact that he goes to Ohio State's not gonna change my opinion on that.
Yeah, they're different players. Like comparing Stroud to Justin Fields, not to sound like an
And I
avid
didn't like
college.
Justin Fields, by the way. I didn't like.
Yeah, me
Justin.
neither. Yeah, I thought there was too many questions with
Yeah.
processing. But yeah, I'm not an avid college football watcher, but you can tell Justin Fields was a guy who was drafted because of like he had great accuracy in college on his deep ball, but just was a really good athlete, but had trouble processing the game. I think Stroud's kind of the opposite. He wants to be more of a pocket passer. He sees the game at a high level. He's also accurate. So like they're not even like, you know, comparable, like just playing style wise. I know they went to the same school, but outside of that, like I don't know how they are like the same person. I think
Listen,
it's a lazy narrative. I don't like it.
yeah, I don't pretend to be like a guy that's like incredible at breaking down film, but
Right.
during the offseason, obviously, like I like a lot of other Giants fans knowing that it's at least a possibility. I'm not looking at it now in season the way we're playing
Yeah.
right now, but before they started, you want to at least do a little bit of homework on the quarterback prospects. And what I saw from Stroud, I saw, like you said, man, he looked like he was almost like in the NFL already in terms of his very polished, great footwork, scans the field very well, has a very good arm. He's tall, he's 6'3", so. I was a big fan of him when I looked into him for a bit, and I fully expect him to be the number one pick in this year's draft. I think he's going to be a really good player. I don't think he has the ceiling of like a Pat Mahomes, but I think he's going to be a very good NFL quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, top 10 ceiling, I would think for sure.
Oh, easy top
Yeah.
10. Yeah.
Depressed Giants fan. Not anymore. We're happy now. I can't believe we're good now. Let's go Giants. Yeah, I mean, it's nuts. I mean, like to think about where we were like a little over a month ago, it's like it's insane. I think opening week 1 was actually a month ago exactly. So, yeah, a month ago we were just not expecting any of this, and to be 4-1, I mean, it's crazy. As I said, even if the Giants were Super Bowl favorites coming into the year, I would be satisfied with 4-1. So to be in the Giants situation where they were projected like 6 wins this year, whatever it was, 7, to be 4-1 is freaking insane. I love it.
And his picture, depressed Giants fans picture, reminded me of a play this week. Daniel Jones almost had another catch this week.
Yeah.
The Daniel
true.
Bellinger play. That looked like it was
Yeah.
originally designed to throw to
He was gonna pass it. Yeah, I saw
pass
that.
it to Daniel Jones in the corner of the end zone. And that was a great play by Bellinger, man, to adjust. I like this guy. I like Daniel
Yeah.
Bellinger a lot. And that was a creative play call. And had it failed, people would have called Kafka a moron. But luckily, Bellinger was able to make an adjustment and be able to get into the end zone. But yeah, it looked like they were, which surprised me a bit, Mike, especially with Daniel Jones coming off the injury. It surprised me a bit that they designed a play to throw to him.
That's the
But
beauty of it.
yeah, that's the beauty of it. But they had it covered up, and Bellinger took off, and he improvised, and he scored the touchdown.
Yeah, we saw, a couple of design Daniel Jones third down runs that were first downs, as you mentioned before. So those were big. He didn't run the ball a lot, but they were timely runs, did it at the right time, and he was successful on the ground. Especially if you take away the kneel downs because that hurt his like yards per carry and stuff like
Right.
that. But he had a good game on the ground for the most part, especially with the bum ankle.
He
Andy,
picked up 2 first downs with his legs, and
yeah.
I saw a stat going into this week that I think through 4 weeks, because now they've played 5, through 4 weeks, he had the second most first downs in terms of rushing for a quarterback in the history of the NFL.
History. Ooh,
Yeah, Michael
wow.
Vick was first at 20, Jones was second at 18.
It's good company, right?
Through
Not,
4,
I
through
mean,
4 weeks.
hopefully, yeah, Daniel Jones doesn't have an off-field incident like Mike Vick, but yeah.
Yeah, but he picked up 2 more this week, so I'm curious to see where he still ranks there. But yeah, I think he's got 20 first downs via his legs this year already.
Wow. It makes the Giants more unpredictable, which is what you want. I mean, I think, people that watch the Giants very closely, like me and you, and I'm sure many people in here, can sometimes tell what's coming with the Giants during the Jason Garrett era, and even Pat Shurmur sometimes with his freaking halfback draws. But at least with this regime here with Mike Kafka, even at times I'm surprised of what this team is doing on third down. Like I feel like the Giants bring in these different personnel groups. They put Breda, Saquon on the field at the same time, and like these defenses have no idea what's coming. Even me, like I have no idea. Even as a Giants fan, I'm like, what the hell's going on here? And like they surprise us, and it's been working out.
Yeah, it's been great. I remember they've had a couple of plays where they've had 3 tailbacks in there at once. Breda, they had, wasn't there
Brightwell? Yeah, Brightwell had that 23-yard run or something.
Yeah, I think it was like the first or second game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like,
Panthers.
it was the Panthers where they lined Breda out wide left when they motioned. They had Barkley as the direct, I think the quarterback, and he handed it off to Breda, I think it was, or maybe Jones was the guy. I can't remember, but they had all 3 of them in there at once.
It was like one of those house formations. You had Jones under center, you had Brightwell at like fullback, you had maybe Breda at the other fullback, and then Saquon as the halfback or something. They just gave it to Brightwell. He had a massive hole. So just things like that. Just keep the defense guessing. Don't have the same freaking 5 plays you go to like Jason Garrett did. Oh, Andy, once again, thank you. Love the thinking, boys. If we win the Super Bowl, I don't know about this year, but hey, listen, we didn't expect this either, so you never know. This ride will keep going until it eventually is over.
Nobody's picking us to win the Super Bowl. Nobody. Listen, I'll be thrilled if we even make the playoffs. But
yeah,
the fact of the matter is, in this sport, if you make the playoffs, there's at least a chance.
Mhm.
It might not be a good chance, but there's a chance. You never know. So that's why you always hold out hope if you make the playoffs.
Yeah, it's not like the NBA. Like, when you have an 8 versus 1 in the NBA, it's sometimes rough, but, the NFL, MLB, anything could happen, so
Well, let me
it's
ask you, Mike. I mean, last year, let's be honest with ourselves. I don't know how they started off last year. I don't remember, but Bengals fans 5 weeks in probably felt about the same Giants fans do about their team at this point in time.
yeah, right.
I mean, really, I mean, how could they have I don't think they were any better than 4-1, and that was a team that traditionally lost. Burrow was still not really hitting on all cylinders. I know he finished the year very strong. So you never know. That's why you play the
Mhm.
games. That's why you play out the season.
Yeah, I mean, you never know what could happen, exactly. Daniel Jones can take even more steps, and who
Yeah,
knows at that point? We get some wide receivers back healthy, maybe pick a guy up at the deadline. Who knows? We'll
you never
see.
know.
Um, let's see. Here's one all around highlights. How much do you think Landon Collins will play against the Ravens? It's an interesting one. I want to see the snap counts for what's his name, Tony Jefferson, because I know he played a bit.
Yeah,
Um,
I still don't think Collins is going to play a whole lot. But he'll get some snaps this week. Probably not a ton because he's still not very familiar with the defense and probably not in the best of playing shape and yada yada yada. But he'll probably get out, for a limited amount of snaps this week. I do think you're going to see. There were some snaps this week. I think I saw Bobby highlighted today on Twitter. There were some plays this week, Mike, where they had no linebackers out there on the field.
really?
And
That's
I think
interesting.
and I think you're going to see that this week against Lamar because you need more speed on the field.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I think Lamar. We played him in what 2020. He killed us, or 2019, whatever it was. I mean, yeah, he definitely had a lot of success on the ground. So, I do trust Don Martin though, because he saw Lamar up close for 4 years. So, I mean, he should have a better idea than anybody of like what Lamar likes to do and things like that. So, the Giants have somewhat of an advantage right there.
Yeah, that to me is the biggest storyline going into this game is, what did Wink pick up from his time in Baltimore, and how is he going to game plan against Lamar Jackson?
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to that.
I cannot find the snap counts, but yeah, I agree with Chris. I mean, like Collins may play
I could probably
20
find it. Let me see.
20% of snaps at most. I don't see it being much. I'm gonna be happy to see him though. Seeing that 21 out there, Landon Collins again, it's gonna be awesome. I'm
I
excited for
got
that.
you. Who did you want to look up?
Tony Jefferson snap
I'll give
percentage.
you everybody. I'll give you everybody snap counts. I'm not even going to bother with the line. We'll skip that. Not going to bother with Daniel Jones, obviously. Um, Johnson, the practice squad wide receiver, plays 77% of the snaps.
He looked
Uh,
kind of good. I'm not gonna lie. He looked kind of
He
good.
did. He had like
Yeah.
3 catches maybe. Bellinger played 74%. Barkley because he got hurt. He played
Yeah. Yeah.
69%. Richie James played 54%. Darius Slayton played 54%.
Hmm.
Myrick played 44%. So a lot of 2 tight end sets. Hudson played 44%. Sills played 43%. Breida played 30%. And then you had Brightwell played 11%, obviously, when Barkley went down.
Yeah.
And then on
First
defense,
career touchdown for Brightwell.
yeah, first career touch.
Yeah.
Absolutely. On defense, Julian Love played 100% of the snaps,
Dang.
um, as did McKinney. Dexter Owens played 90%. Moreau played 83%. Thibodeaux played 81%. Crowder 79%. Ward 73%. Holmes 71%. Jalen Smith played 65%.
Mm,
Adoree Jackson got hurt, played
yeah.
59%. Nick Williams actually played 52%, the D tackle.
Yeah.
O'Shane Zimenez played 49%. Justin Ellis, 49%. Nick McLeod, 41%. Belton, 33%. Jefferson, the guy that you asked about, 21%.
Mm.
Lane, 17%, and so on and so forth.
That's a good number for Landon Collins, like 21%. Like I could see something like that. Like,
Yeah, I could see that.
yeah, I
I
could
could
see
see
it. All right, 7:25. First pitch is coming in the Bronx, so I'm gonna head out of here at
You do
some
what you
point.
got to do,
But
man. You got a big game to watch tonight.
yeah, what do you think wins that series? What would you be?
You
What
guys
would
are
be
going
your
to win
prediction?
the series. You guys are. I would be surprised if they win more than one. I think they'll win one. They'll take one from you guys, and I'll go Yankees in 4,
Yanks in 4. All right.
and then Astros Yankees. I'm assuming is what the ALCS is going to
Yeah.
be, and you're not going to like my prediction, but I do think it'll be I do think it'll be a really close series, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Yankees win it. But I'm going to go with the Astros. The Astros just seem to have the Yankees number, and I do think they're a little bit better of a baseball team. So I'm going to go Astros in 7 in the ALCS, but
Okay.
I do think you're going to beat the Guardians.
No, I'm actually kind of with you. Unfortunately, until the Yankees actually get past the Astros, I just can't see it. So I'm not mad at you for that. I kind of like agree, sadly, but they should get past this round in 3 or 4 games, hopefully. So
I think the
we'll
winner.
see.
I think the champions coming out of the National League, though. I think it's either going to be the Braves or the Dodgers.
Yeah, the Braves are amazing. I don't know. They always find talent somewhere somehow. I don't know. Everybody they bring up is a good player somehow. All right, last one before we sign off from Kelvin once again. I cannot wait until the day where you guys and Bad Dog are streaming the Super Bowl. Imagine that.
Yeah, man. Hopefully that's this year. And,
Yeah, right.
we were talking about Super Bowl dreaming, and hopefully it's this year, Calvin. Man, I'm looking forward to it.
I don't
I
know if
listen. I just hope I get to stream a playoff game this year.
yeah, exactly. I don't know if I'd be able to stream a Super Bowl. I think I'd be too nervous. I know in the 2011 Super Bowl, I watched
Yeah,
that game on 4 different TVs because I'm kind of superstitious. So I started in the basement, went to the family room, went to the kitchen, went to the living room, and I think I finished there. Like it was like because I just had superstitious, like about this TV's working, this TV's not working. So I went to 4 different TVs during the Super Bowl 46.
yeah. I don't know if I'd be able to live stream the Super Bowl either. I don't know. I probably would because I know people would want me to do it, but
Yeah, yeah,
um, I don't know, man. That would be high intensity for sure.
it
Like
would.
the thing with that, and don't get me wrong, I love doing the live streams. It's so much fun. It's almost like a virtual stadium. I say it all the time. Like you get to experience with all the fans. But it almost would take some of the enjoyment out of watching the Super Bowl, right? Because that's kind of
Right,
awesome.
right.
You do it with your friends, you watch it at a park. But when it's your team, you're not really enjoying it in the same sense anyway, right?
Yeah.
Because you're super focused on the game. You're super tense. It's not like if the 49ers play the Bills, you don't really care who wins the game. You just want to see
Mhm.
a fun, good football game. So, but yeah, that would be a really cool experience. I don't even need the Super Bowl this year. Just let me stream a playoff game.
Yeah, I've had those feelings before, like when I think the last time this really happened was when the Nets were making their, finals run. They played the Bucks in that game 7, and like it was so nerve-wracking. I'm like, why do I do this to myself as a sports fan? Why? Like, why do I put myself through this garbage to like make me feel like this? And of course they lost with the Durant toe on the line. It was like one of the worst losses I ever experienced. But you're right. I mean, sometimes we kind of ask ourselves, like, why do we put ourselves through this? But when your team wins and when the Giants win the Super Bowl, you feel like you're on top of the world for like the next 2 months. It's awesome. So you know what? It's worth it when they win. Of course, only one team wins out of 32, so you don't get it very often. But when you do get it, feels very good, I will say.
Oh, dude, nothing replaces
Nothing,
that
yeah,
feeling.
nothing better. Yeah,
Nothing replaces that feeling, and it is worth all these years of torture. And I probably appreciate it more than a lot of other Giants
yeah,
fans because
yeah.
they're Yankee fans. And I'm a Met fan. I've never seen any of my teams win a championship. A Met and a Knick fan, so I probably appreciate those championships even more so because of that. Not to say that Yankee fans don't appreciate the Giants championships. I know they do. But for somebody that's never seen any other championship in their life, from any of their other teams, like, hey, listen, it is worth sitting through all this horror these last 10, 11 years since we've won our last Super Bowl to be able to experience that. Like, nothing's ever going to top that for me as a sports fan. Even when the Giants win again, I don't think anything will ever top the first Super Bowl that I ever got to experience as a
Yeah.
Giants fan. So those memories don't go away. That's why you watch. You watch for the team to win championships.
100%. Yeah, I even put a video out of me reacting to when the Giants batted that Rodgers pass down. And I'm like, you'll never forget these moments. Like you'll remember exactly where you were. It is a regular season Week 5 type game, but like we remember that stuff as fans because the Giants were big underdogs, game in London, and like it's just stuff you'll never forget. So it's awesome when it works your way. It's awesome. I'll put it that way.
Of
All
course.
right, so let's get out of here, Chris. I'll let you sign off. Give your plug your channel, all that good stuff.
Yeah, no, come over next week. We'll figure out the day. It'll probably either be Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever day works best for us. We'll be recapping the Ravens win. The New York Giants off to a 5-1 start. I'm going to continue to say it's because we said it last week and they won. So we're going to continue to be positive. We'll recap that. Another huge upset for the Giants coming up this week. Looking forward to it. And yeah, hopefully we get to see all you guys over there. Thank you guys for all the support you always show us. And Mike, had a lot of fun, man, talking Giants with you.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you guys for joining. It was fun. Apologies for any chats we didn't get to, but of course, it's like I'm not good at this. Chris is the professional. So if you want your question answered, go to him next week on his channel. I suck at this going through
You did
comments and
well. What are you
reading.
talking about? You did
No,
good.
I stumble so much when I read. It's terrible. Like, oh my gosh,
All
it's
right,
I
from now on,
gotta
if you
work
want
on that.
when we're on your channel, I'll read them too.
All right, fair enough. All right, we're gonna get out of here. Let's go Yanks. Hopefully, the Yankees start up 1-0, but we'll talk to you guys next time, and hopefully, when we do, it's a 5-1 Giants team beating the Ravens. So we'll see you guys then.